Last week, I made a video about the AI Coke ad and how disappointed I was that they'd used AI, and it really got people talking. And since more things are happening in the advertising space, and Cinora is a place to talk about media, and I used to work in advertising, I figured that I would continue the conversation a little bit this week. I'm going to be talking about the Jaguar ad and the impact that that's had and the things that people are talking about. And potentially next week, I'm going to talk about the UK Christmas ads, which are a phenomenon that get more and more bizarre each year. So Jaguar decided to rebrand, which is not a particularly unusual thing for a brand to do. But this was a very hard turn for Jaguar, and I'll try not to have too many car puns in this video. Ahead of becoming an electric-only brand, they decided to release a new logo and a teaser for social media. This makes sense because the motor industry is embracing electric technology, and whether it's better or not, that is the direction that we're going in an environmental pursuit. The parent company of Jaguar, JLR, had been going through financial difficulty around about 5 years ago and have only recently been able to turn that around. They have been making money on the Land Rover series, but they've been losing money per car on the Jaguar line. And this rebrand was announced a year ago with the direction of going all electric, and the unveiling of the new car is due to take place on December 2nd. My first thoughts, along with many others, were, did I miss the car? I even went back through the video a few times and I paused at certain moments to see if that was the car. I was like looking at the rock, trying to figure out, is it the shape of a car? But it actually doesn't show the car. Instead, the ad shows a group of people in eccentric dress in an abstract space with some phrases that come up that are very akin to a contemporary art space. The company's managing director said of the ad, "If we play in the same way that everybody else does, we'll just get drowned out, so we shouldn't turn up like an auto brand." And they are due to unveil the car at Miami Art Week, which is extremely unusual and maybe a world first for an auto brand. I think it's a great strategy for many reasons. First of all, we are all now talking about Jaguar, and there is a genuine curiosity about what this car is going to look like. Before now, Jaguar wasn't in the zeitgeist. Nobody was talking about it, and now they are very present in the conversation. This ad is definitely unique, and much like when I mentioned that Coke are all about selling you an experience, car ads are doing the same. I watched one recently in the cinema where it's a couple driving and good things are just happening around them. So an example is they're in the city and they get stopped at traffic lights, but then like the woman clicks or does something and the traffic lights change to green instantly and they just keep driving. And it's sort of like, yeah, the features of the car are kind of less important now. You're just trying to create this feeling of, oh, you'll be happy, you'll be comfortable in this car, you'll feel like things are easy. Now, I can remember watching the ad, but I actually can't remember what car it was for because this is basically every car ad now. You have the same shots, you have the same gimmick, you have all of the same elements, and it's just so forgettable. So I definitely won't forget the Jaguar ad up against the sea of similar car ads that you get shown every day. I actually wanted to put a clip of that ad in this video and I can't find it because I don't know what car make it was for, and the description I have of the advert is so generic that I just ended up with 5 other car ads that were the same. Now, I'm not in the market for a car. The reason this ad has come across my life is because everyone's talking about it, and that's a marketing dream. On the Rest is Entertainment podcast, they pointed out that the fad at the moment in marketing is to use the Ehrenberg Bass rule, which comes from the Ehrenberg Bass Institute at the University of South Australia. The Ehrenberg Bass rule is basically if you were to advertise this car to 100 people, only 5 of those 100 would actually be ready to buy a car right now. The rest of them may have already bought one in the last few years, or they're just not ready to upgrade, or they're not looking. Most people would assume that you would focus on those 5 people and really try to get them to buy your car. But the Ehrenberg Bass rule gets you to focus on the other 95 who are not ready to buy. And what you want to do is create a loyalty with them, a sense of your brand that they trust and they feel connected to, so that when the choice comes up for them to buy a car, they think of you first. And looking at the Ehrenberg Bass website, they know what they're doing. There's some friends of the channel on there. But although this feels counterintuitive in terms of advertising, selling products, and building an audience, it does make a lot of sense. I've said this before in the channel, and I'll say it again. Ads used to have so much cultural weight. They were kind of like the original TikTok in that they were 30 seconds long, typically. They used music, they used dancing, they used phrases, they used gimmicks to get you hooked into a world really quickly. And I remember when I was young, on the playground, people would be saying phrases from ads that we had no idea what they were even advertising. Everybody was running around going, "What's up?" when clearly children had no experience of buying beer. In 2007, Cadbury released an ad where Phil Collins was in a gorilla suit and played the drums. And it had nothing to do with chocolate. It was really unusual for a chocolate ad to not show someone eating chocolate or to show the chocolate being poured into a bar. But there was something captivating about this, and it was deeply entertaining. People remember ads like that years after they happened, and things are still referenced from years and years ago. There are phrases that I didn't realize stemmed from ads. I just thought they were common idioms. So like, "it does what it says on the tin" is actually from Ronseal. But I've never seen an ad for Ronseal in my life that's used that catchphrase. I just know that catchphrase because people use it so much. And that is the power that advertising used to have. In this day and age, people skip ads or they pay not to see them. And so the fact that Jaguar has people searching for their ad and electing to watch it by themselves, it is half the battle of marketing because you don't have to fight to get the audience to see it. They are coming to you. The next battle, though, is to get people to connect enough with your product that they go out and buy it. Whether you're in the market for a car now or in the future, what about this is going to make you go for Jaguar? I can't imagine a lot of people relate to beaming down to a pink planet or an orange lift, or that alone is going to make them feel like they should buy that car. The relatability of this ad is in fact aspirational. So not in a way that we all aspire to be dressed like this and sitting on pink rocks, unless you're competing in Eurovision, in which case it's just another year. But what I mean is that this ad is very futuristic in the same way that Y2K was in the late 90s and early noughties. It's such a leap from the norm that it feels futuristic. And there is going to be a portion of people who don't like it because it's too different from what we know. But that's actually going to appeal to a lot of people as well. For the last 10 years and more, the motor industry has been moving into this electric space, and it has been a hard journey for the public. I think the industry itself moves quite quickly, and every manufacturer is coming out with their own models of cars and hybrids and making improvements. But the public, we tend to only buy a car every 5 or 10 years. A lot of people, they keep that around until they're absolutely forced to change. And in the UK, we've had the introduction of emissions tax, which has replaced road tax. You've got low emission zones in all major cities. And I've also seen parking that is free or at a reduced rate for electric vehicles, but charged at a higher rate for emitting vehicles. And because the shift in the industry has been faster than the shift in the public, it means that there are a lot of people who have not converted to electric and don't intend to for quite some time. But this ad is absolutely putting a flag down and saying, we are only focused on the next stage. We are not interested in the previous stage where everybody is still emitting. And it's not just the actual model of the car. It's not just the functionality of the product now. It's their entire image that they want to cement in the future. When the time comes for you to buy a car, you're now going to associate Jaguar with the contemporary. Given that last week I was talking about AI and its role in the world and its relationship with artists, it's actually really nice to be talking about something artistic just based on how do we understand it and not is it ethical. I don't know how they made this ad. I was looking for behind the scenes, but they haven't released anything yet, and I'd be super fascinated to hear from people who worked on it and what the vision was. But also just, did they use image enhancements? Was it a green screen? Or did they actually build that set? That sort of stuff really fascinates me, and I really wish there was more out there on it. The ad has received some backlash. People are uncomfortable with the androgynous look of the individuals and the campness of their outfits and the space that they're in. And when thinking about this, I realised that Jaguar definitely has an old-fashioned feel, simply by being an old-fashioned brand. It's giving old money, old-fashioned values, old-fashioned luxury, if you will. And this ad feels like a shake-off of that prior perception that people have of this brand. If your values are now aligned with environmentalism, then they're probably also aligned with freedom of expression and human rights. A few years ago, on my other channel, I made a video about how to protect the future, and I followed a step-by-step guide. And Jane McGonigal, the Director of Game Research and Development at the Institute for the Future, said, "For professional futurists, the future starts 10 years from today. 10 years is enough time for society and your own life to become dramatically different. It's enough time for new technologies to scale up and achieve global impact. It's enough time for social movements to achieve historic victories. It's enough time for big new ideas to take root, gain traction, and change the world." Jaguar called this campaign Copy Nothing, and they have definitely created something unique. They've used humans to do it, and they've made a big statement about where they stand. It feels like they've decided to get with the times. And as Bob Dylan put it in the 60s, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, because times they are a-changing. So that's my take on the Jaguar ad. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please know that I'm very open-minded, so I'm not here to say that I know all the answers and this is exactly how I will always feel. Totally open to hearing other opinions and thinking about this a lot more. So I really appreciate that you've watched all the way to the end of the video, and I hope you return for another one soon.